Hi, this is Cousin Russ. I'm going to do a brief demonstration using Family Tree Maker 2019. Uh, and I'm going to specifically work with Ancestry's Find a Grave Index 1600s to current. And what I'm going to do is do a web merge. Then I'm going to take the generic uh, citation and move it to a source template feature so that the citation ends up by being an evidence explained citation. If you're watching the video, please leave a comment to let me know where you're watching from. I would appreciate it. I don't see anybody watching right now. Oh, somebody just came in. So, hi, dear Myrtle. Good to see you. What I'm going to do is demonstrate using Family Tree Maker, uh, and I'm going to find a um, hint from Ancestry's Find a Grave uh, index, 1600s to current, and I'm going to merge that record into uh, Family Tree Maker. We got Salt Lake City. We have Sarah watching from Texas. Welcome, Sarah. As I go through this, if you have any questions, please leave in the comments. I'll try to keep one eye on comments and one eye on what I'm doing. So I'm in Family Tree Maker 2019, and I have been working over the past week on my 1950 U.S. federal census. And I demonstrated how I created a filter. I do not have the filter on, but I am going to turn it on. So I clicked on the filter option here, and then I did a retrieve filter. So what I'm now going to do is take the 209 people and bring in the 16 people that I've identified that I should be able to find in the 1950 census. Hi, Paul from Atlanta. Welcome. Appreciate you letting me know where you're from. Uh, two things. This is work that I've decided I would do while Roots Tech was going on, do what I normally do at Roots Tech. And the screen behind me is the booth at Roots Tech for several years. And since I'm doing, might as well do it in real time with a virtual background. So anyhow, I'm working on the 1950 census preparation, and I expect to find these 16 people in that census. So I'm going to apply the filter. And one of the things that I've been looking for is one of the things I would like to know is when people died. So I'm just going to look on the first person, and I'm in the person view, and I have some information. I have an information from One World Tree. Uh, Boy, that's a long time ago, unreliable source of information, but I want to see if I can find another record that backs up when uh, John died. So I'm going to go over here to this shaky leaf that's not shaking, but it tells me that there's a hint. Oh, good. Right at the top is a hint from Ancestry's Find a Grave Index 1600s to current. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do before I uh, go further uh, is to compare my data, which is in the lower left-hand corner, to the data that's on the Ancestry member tree. I'm sorry, from the Ancestry record. So yeah, that's my person. I'm going to click on the link to go and bring the record from Ancestry's record into my database. Uh, what I do is I review the transcription that has been provided to me. It still looks like the same person, but I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to, in the address window, I am, so you are viewing the Ancestry website through the environment of Family Tree Maker. That is absolutely correct. This is the record, and that's a good setup for what I'm going to do next. So this is what it says within Family Tree Maker. And to the left of the address bar are some browser options. So I'm going to open up a new window in my browser. Now you can't see it yet, but I'm going to bring it over. So that is my browser, which happens to be Chrome. That's my default browser that I brought into as that I'm going to put and keep on a second screen. I'm going to move it over to another screen so I can see it, but I still see it here within Family Tree Maker. I do that for a reason, because when I work with the data, I'm going to work with it. Everything is done within Family Tree Maker, and as I go through this, I will explain what I am doing as I go along. So the other thing I'm going to do is look at the source, which is a tab here in Family Tree Maker, and it's the same thing as on my browser on my other window. What I'm going to do, this is something that I do all the time. I want to copy what Ancestry tells me about the source, which is the Find a Grave Index. So that's the source information. That's information from everything is here from Ancestry, but it is now on my Windows clipboard. There's a Windows clipboard and there's a Family Tree Maker clipboard. What I'm doing is I highlighted the data, did a Control C, and you can't see that, but that's what I did. Now I'm going to click Merge. And then the Merge window is going to give me the information that's in my database and the information that is in the record that's coming in from the record that I'm looking at. Now, I have different information on the name that I see. And what's interesting is that Family Tree Makers wants to discard that, the name that's from the website. But if I look up here at the top, the father of John, I see a John. So I am actually going to accept John the Third as an alternate name fact. This is going to be preferred, but I may change that when I complete the merge, the cleanup from the merge. So that's the name fact. The birth fact is it's the same date, but it says New York, New York. It says Manhattan, New York County, Manhattan, New York, and it says discard. I don't want that. And I figured out as I'm talking, I figured out what I need to fix within my settings of Family Tree Maker. I actually want to bring that in as an alternate fact. I will fix that when I finish the merging. Death date, the death date is the same. The location is different. I'm going to make it an alternate fact. I don't want to lose it, and I will clean it up after the merge is complete. And this says where he is buried. And that's the only thing there. Before I go to the next step, I want to show you what I have work that I have in front of me to do, and I will walk through that. It's got his parents' names, and children's names. Now I have one of the children, but that's the only one I can see. I can't go any further, but I am still convinced that I'm working with the correct person. The data looks good. The relationships look good. I'm going to go to the next step. So I click next. Now it's presenting me with his parents. Again, my database is on the left. What's on the right is coming from the record that I'm looking at. So now what do I want to do with the mother? I want to merge the information from the record into my database. So I click next. Now I go through the same gyration, and that is comparing the data that I have with the data that's from the record. I am not going to discard, because that's her married name, and that the record is saying her married name. So I'm going to, if you were to come back and look at my database and you would click on the citation that I would create, you will see the same thing that I'm seeing. I will tell you how I deal with this in a few minutes. Now, the birth date is, I'll accept the birth date, except I'm going to end up with a conflicting information, and I will show you how I deal with that. So for the moment, it says she was born in Massachusetts. This one says in New York. I'm going to bring that in as an alternate fact. I will clean it up when I complete the merge. The death date, there's a day difference. Location is a little bit different, but again, I will. I have more data on both. I have more data, and I need to look at all of the data, but I normally do that anyhow. So I am accepting those changes. No, I don't want to discard. I want that as an alternate fact. And I'm going to click next. Now I got another person, the father, who's got the second. Now you can see why, and I can't see it here, but I can see it here that the record is saying that he was the second, and I'll accept that. But what I want to do, I can add a new person or I can merge, and I'm going to merge because I believe it's the same person. Different pieces of information has been provided, and I click next, and I go through the same process. And I'll accept the family tree maker says that's preferred, and I agree with that, but I'm going to keep that alternate fact that I already have in my database. The birth date and birthplace are the same. The location is a little bit different, and we'll talk about that when I look at the individual record as I go along. Now, the death date, all I had was the death date. And by the way, I'm sure that I have a setting that's not set the way I expected it. And I will talk about that in a few minutes. I want that death date to be an alternate, and that is preferred. We got a preferred burial, so I must have some burial information. Find a grave index, that's a good chance that I will see it. And I'm going to click next, and now I have the next person that is showing up. And I compare the data that I have on the left-hand side and what the record has on the right, and I'm going to merge that information from the record into Family Tree Maker, and I get the same thing. I'm going to make this as an alternate fact. I'm going to make this as an alternate fact, and I'm going to make this as an alternate fact. There's differences between the two, and what's going to help me here is the thing when I have to deal with place names. This hint that it's in Manhattan, New York County, is different than what's here. And it says that she is buried in Arlington. So I have making sure I have alternate fact. Yep. And I'm going to click next. Now I have another one. Oh, there's something going on here. Oh, because I didn't say what I was going to do. This is the next person down, the next child. I want to merge. Notice what Family Tree Maker did. It looked at the information that's in the record and what I have, and it determined that it's the same person. Now, I'm going to accept it because I think I know what has happened here of the way Find a Grave sometimes has names, married name, or uh, uh, how they have the last name. I'm going to merge and I'm going to alternate fact. Now I've got some new information that I didn't have on this person the first time. This is all new information that came from the record that I don't have in my database. That's good news for me. So I'm going to click next. I got another merge. Now I think that there's something wrong with the Find a Grave record, but that's okay. I'm going to merge it in. You notice that the name is here twice, and when I merge it, it's going to merge the record with my information. I have some cleanup to do, but I clean up all of the time. Every time I do a merge, I spend a lot of time cleaning up, but I handle the citation first, and that's what I want to do. So I click next. I go through the same information. I don't want to discard that. I want that as an alternate name. And this is new information for me. Keep in mind that I'm working on this database for the 1950 census. So I didn't have a birth date for that person nor a death date. I expect to be able to find this person in the 1950 census. And I'm going to click next. Now, this is the end of the merging, but it hasn't merged the data on the record with my database. There's a lot of information that's here that I will use. There's a source information. I could edit it here, but I choose not to edit here. I want to use the sources workspace. I have better control. I can see what I'm doing easier. You will notice that although the screen behind, let me bring my other window over here, you will see that there's an image here of a headstone. That image came from the Find a Grave website. It looks like it's here in Family Tree Maker, but on this screen, there's no indication that there's a media file, and that media file should not come in with this merge. We're talking about an index. It's pointing to someplace else. Um, if there was an image with the record, and I've talked about this in on my blog, there would be an indication up here that there was a media file attached with a checkbox. There's no media. It's all data that's going to come in, and I am saying merge now. It did. It has merged the data from the record into Family Tree Maker, and I can click close. And the first thing that I do when the merge is complete is go to the sources workspace. Now the sources workspace is where the citation came in, and there is the citation, Find a Grave. It shows it up here, U.S. Find a Grave Index 1600s to current. Now, this is when I did the merge, there were 29 facts that were part of the merge. That's cool. But there's not much information for the citation. Now, what I'm going to do is what I always do, because I'm going to move this source, the generic source information that came in from Ancestry, and I'm going to move it to a citation template. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But I can do some stuff from this, from where I am right now, before I do anything else. Remember when I started the merge that I have some information on my clipboard? I'm going to click on Notes, and I'm doing a Control V. V is in Victor. So I took that source information that's from the website, and if I go over here, it's here. I copied that and I put it in the notes for the source that I'm working with. And I can see it here. But what I need to do is craft the citation. So what do let me do two other things first. This is where the citation is created. There's a source and there's a citation. This is where I fill in the citation information, and I'm going to walk through that in a minute. But this citation text is my play area. I put some information in this field that I want to have in here. Now, what Family Tree Maker did when it brought it in from Ancestry, it said record 4, and one of the bugs that I hope gets resolved is they don't bring in the data correctly for someone with a suffix in their name. A bug that's been reported, but probably won't get fixed anytime soon. Now, what we learned about Evidence Explained is that in the citation, you don't have a full link to this in the citation, but it looks like it does. Here's the reference note. I am going to uncheck that, and now I can fill in my citation. When I put this record into an Evidence Explained source template, so I got rid of this information will not be in there. This link will not be in there in the citation when I move it. The good news is I have two places where I can go back and look at that record if I choose to, with that globe or with the link that says view source online. I'll show you that again in a few minutes. So I want to deal with the source detail, and the source detail is letting me point you to where I found the record. So I already will tell you the record in the source template. Now we got to talk about the citation. So I'm going to spell out the name, and each citation, this information is a little bit different, but there's the name, and I'm going to add the birth date. So if you were to search, I followed a hint, but I want you to be able to do a search to find the same record that I did. So I'm going to put birth date, and I try not to, I try to spell out what I can. So birth date, and I'm going to say 19 May 1891. What else would help you? Death date, 3 August 1957, and you should be able to find it if you did a search. I can add New Manhattan, New York. How about if I do that? Again, I am trying to uh, give enough information that you can do a search and find this record. One other bit of information that I need to have in the citation text, I put it in the citation text. I put a space, colon, accessed 03 March 2022. Remember, everything that's in that field, the citation text field, will not be in a citation. I see that there are 13 people watching. I appreciate that. If you just uh, make a comment where you're viewing this from, hopefully you're having a good time at Roots Tech 2022. I'm doing it. I'm having fun, but virtually, and using my time to demonstrate Family Tree Maker for those people who may use Family Tree Maker. I hope you do. But leave a comment of where you're watching from. All right. So I've got everything in the source citation information column here that I need. But this is the generic citation, so this reference note would not look like evidence explained. So what I want to do now is create a source template for the Find a Grave database. Now, I clicked on Add because I'm going to create another citation, and I'm going to click New. And I'm going to look for a source template that meets evidence explained. And what gets put in that, as you can see in the pop-up menu that just disappeared, that I put in a keyword, and I'm going to type CEM for cemetery. So these are my choices. Most of them are something that's physical. But this last one down here says an online database. Isn't that what the Family Tree Maker or the Ancestry US Find a Grave Index 1600 to current? Isn't that what that is? It's an online database. Now, we're not talking about the Find a Grave website. We're talking about Ancestry's index that points to the website. So I click on that link and accept that. It says the creator's surname. Now, what do I put here? I'm going to put Ancestry because Ancestry created this database. I'm not going to put in the first name, but what I am going to put in the database title, I copied that from the my web browser. I highlighted that, which is the name of the database, and I just copied and pasted. And I do that because sometimes Ancestry will do US U period S period comma. Sometimes they do U period S period space. So I copy and pasted whatever Ancestry has is what I put into the database. What's the database title? Ancestry. It's not Ancestry.com. Their title is Ancestry. It's asking for the URL. This is the root of the website. https://ancestry.com. And if I look at the source information, I know that they created this index, and I'll show you how I know here in a second. 2012, and that's when they created the database, and I click OK. I'm going to click OK again. So I have a blank citation up here, a blank source group that has no information yet. So what I am going to do now is take the citation that came from my web merge, and what I'm going to do is upper right hand corner, the down arrow, I am going to select Ancestry compiler US Federal Find a Grave Index 1600. So that's the source template that I created a few minutes ago, and I'm going to move this generic citation into the source template feature. You'll notice that up here it says source template source. That's so it tells me it is in the citation source template feature. This is that blank one that I created. I can right click and delete it because I don't need it anymore. But what's going to be left is the citation that I created for what I just merged. Now, remember I said I'd tell you what year, how I knew where the year came from? It came from the source information that I pasted in to the notes. So this is all here, but it's not quite done yet. If I look here at the reference note, it's as it should be. It'll end up by looking like that as an end note or a source information. But what I don't have in that citation is the date that it was that I brought it into Family Tree Maker. I highlighted that accessed 3 March 2022, and I double clicked on the source information. I go to the reference note, and what I need to do is to paste that access date. Now, some people use viewed, they do all kinds of configuration. What I do is spell out access, I spell out the date. I don't use abbreviation because somebody coming after me may not know the abbreviations that I use. But that is the citation that will appear anytime I have a citation for this database. So I click OK. So I now have completed what I need to for the citation for this index record. Again, if you are watching this on YouTube, please put in the comments of where you're watching from, so I have some idea who's here. And I appreciate dear Myrtle, my cousin, being here watching. I did not warn her that I was going to do this because I didn't figure I was going to do this, and I said, yeah, it's time for me to do some work here and have fun. So I'm not done. There's no media files, but you see that I do have notes. This is a feature of a Family Tree Maker where there have notes, numbers, so you know that I have information, uh, that I have a note, and I've got links. I got 29 facts that have this citation on it. Now, I'm going to go to start working on the data that I just brought in. Now, the data that I just brought in was for the 3rd, the sun. So I am going to click on that, and it's now taking me to his uh, person page. I do all of my work from here. I will clean this up, and I will clean up the information that I have for him after I do 2 things. Somebody from Michigan, I think that's what you're watching from, John. Thank you very much for being here. The first thing I do, the next thing that I do is put in my research notes. Now, I don't have to do, I don't put a lot of information in the research notes. I put enough that I know that there's some facts that are over here that came from the Find the Grave Index. And I don't have to put a lot of detail because the detail about that source information is here in the citation. So I don't need to spell out a lot of information in the research log because I have it in the citation. So I have my uh, reference or my research log. I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to highlight that text and I'm going to copy it into my Windows clipboard because I'm going to add a task. I'm going to say new, and I'm going to paste what's in the research log because I want to track how good or bad the hints are. So I'm going to create a new to-do list category. I'm going to add hint. That's the name of the category that I use. And I click OK. I'm going to select it and click OK. So now I have a hint that came from the Find the Grave index. And medium categories are stuff that I need to do, high priority. And I blogged about this on my blog several times, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here doing it. But the high category is notes about the file itself. The medium is to-do list by person. And when I've completed a task, I'm going to make it low priority and mark it complete. Now I've already done it, but I could have just moved on. But at the end of the day, I can tell how many that I merged. Now, if I have a hint that doesn't work, isn't my person, it will show up and I will have enough information here to let me know that a hint did not work. And when I'm asked how reliable are the hints, and I can say 95%, but I can back it up with data. That's why I take an extra step to do that. You do not have to, but it's a record for me that I found this person on this record and I just put it in the to-do list. Now I've got cleanup to do. The first cleanup I have to do is remember when I did the merge that I wasn't sure what his name was, but I believe that his father is the second, which would make him the third. But the preferred fact says without the third. I'm going to right click and mark it as preferred. So his name is now the third, which is in line with him as the second. I'm not going to delete this. I'm going to just mark it as the third because there's 5 sources, 5 citations for his name spelled that way on the record. Find a Grave helps so much. Arizona, absolutely it does. And That's why I decided I would do this. Natalie, thank you for letting us know where you are. Okay, the next thing that it talked about was his birth date. And while I'm here, I am right clicking on, I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. That is the citation that I'm taking from this record. I may want to use that again. A couple minutes ago, I said there was two clipboards in Family Tree Maker. One is the Windows clipboard. The other is a Family Tree Maker clipboard. So I am going to click on this second icon that says copy source citation. So I just click that, and this information is in my Family Tree Maker clipboard. So if I have another fact that I add, that I can already have the citation in the Family Tree Maker clipboard, so I can go from that. Now, the next thing that I want to deal with is the burial fact. Now, I'm going to bring the information from the website because it lists a cemetery of where he was buried. So, but that didn't come over in the merge, and that's okay. But what I want to do now is to put that cemetery name in the place name, and I just did. When I did that, Family Tree Maker says, that's not, doesn't meet our standards. I don't recognize that place name. I'm going to fix that real quick. I click on that icon, and it's telling me there's 5 facts that use this information. I can change all of them or just this one instance, and that is what I want to do. So I am going to select the resolved place name, and what I'm going to do is click this little up arrow, and that puts the cemetery name up in this historic place name or cemetery name field, and it's East Hampton, Suffolk County, New York, United States. But there's still something wrong because the Ancestry record says United States of America. There you go, right there. It says United States of America. That does not meet the standards within Family Tree Maker. So, but Family Tree Makers says if you select here, it will change United States of America to USA. So I'm going to replace this long name that doesn't exist on a map. I'm going to replace it with the standard, and I only want to change this one time because I don't know what those other 5 facts are that have this same information. So I'm going to click OK. So there I have the cemetery that he is buried in with the name. The place name is correct. It meets the standard. So I just changed the place name to meet the map. Now, why do I want to do that? If I go to the Places workspace and I am going to, this database needs a lot of cleanup, which is what I'm doing here. And I'm going to get down to New York. Now there's 2 New Yorks here for some reason. What I will fix that up when I get done. And I am looking for Suffolk County, and I'm looking for East Hampton, which is where the cemetery is. That is why I use the place name feature so I can see exactly where that cemetery is, and I can change the view. There's the aerial view, and I can zoom in and out, and that is where the cemetery is. So that's why I spend a few minutes on dealing with the place names. Uh, there's a lot of other cleanup that I need to do. When I did the merge, this is what was in my database, and this is what came in from Ancestry. There's the United States of America again. I'm going to click to resolve that again. Manhattan, Kings County, New York, Manhattan, New York, New York. So this isn't really helping me. Oh, wait a minute. It is helping me because it says New York County. This is why I have it on another screen. Manhattan, New York County, New York. But this is not correct. If I select this, it's still not going to be correct, but I'm going to, it said Manhattan, New York County, New York, New York. So I'm going to replace it, but I'm going to come back and edit it again because I want the word county after New York. New York County, Philadelphia County. So I'm going to search to see if it'll be accepted. And sure enough, Manhattan, New York County, New York, USA. So I'm going to replace that. And I have the same thing that I could have done before. But if I would rather do it individually than going back through, uh, make all 9 changes, because I'm not sure. I want to look at them one at a time. For an example, right here, if I click all, it would change this as well, but I would rather change it one at a time. So I'm going to change only this occurrence and click OK. Again, this tells me that the place name is correct, but I've got a problem here. It says New York, New York, which is actually correct. But this gets more detailed. It says Manhattan, New York County, New York. So again, I'm going to make this the preferred place. And I'm going to go up here and add New York County. If I learn how to spell. And it says, do you want to change all 15 facts? In this example, I'm going to do all 15. New York, New York, New York, New York, New York, New York. That it won't change that one. But I'm going to now change 15 facts that say New York, New York. So it's New York County, New York State, USA. And there we go. It is a correct place name. Arrival is a different fact. We'll deal with that another time. Uh, there's some good information probably on the record that brought this information from, but I'm just dealing with this merge that I just did. I'm cleaning up from that. And I don't have any conflicting information. I have more information on where he was born here than I did here. And although I've got five citations, doesn't make that more important than this. But this is more complete information than uh, the one above it. The death, I have the same issue as far as place is concerned. This says New York, New York, New York. What's that? I'm going to hold because this next one says New York, Manhattan. So I can go back and do what I did here at the burial or his birth location. So I am going to select Manhattan, New York, New York, and do what I did that last time. I'm going to edit this Manhattan, New York County, New York, USA, and replace it. I'm just going to replace the one. So I've got the birth date. Now, I again, this one has another New York, but I'm going to make this preferred because I believe when I look at the other any more records, I'm going to find this to be more accurate, except it didn't take my word county, but let me fix that. You notice I am changing that from a different screen, but it says, I'm going to put a space in here. And when I put the space, it brought up that place name for me that I've used before, which is great. So I'm going to replace the misspelling without the space with New York County, and I'm now good to go. So basically, what I just did was did a web merge from a an ancestry, find a grave index record, brought it in to Family Tree Maker. I did the citation from the generic citation that Ancestry provides and made it into an evidence explained citation. Again, if you're watching, please let me know where you're watching from. I would appreciate that. And if you have any questions, please put it in the comment. If you want to put a thumbs up on YouTube, I would appreciate that too. So if you have any questions, I will end here in a minute, but I just want to make sure that if you have any questions, that you have time to ask them. 14 people are watching, and I appreciate you doing that. I'm going to do this randomly from time to time while Roots Tech is going on. I will do a follow-up for this one because you notice that I did not bring in anything from the Find a Grave website. For me, that is an entirely different process. I go through a different step. I do go through different steps when I use a record from the Find a Grave website. There's a different citation, there's different information. There'll be an image from that citation. So when I do a web merge with Family Tree Maker from the Find a Grave website, I have to deal with that image, and there's a way to do that. So I appreciate your comments, and I'm going, if anybody has any questions, I'm still looking for questions, and otherwise I will end the broadcast here in about a minute, give you enough time to do that. And I hope the information I provided was helpful. Everybody does their data differently. I am only sharing what I have done. While we have it and while the news is going on, I do want to uh, give you a link to a blog post that I did yesterday. Because as you may know, uh, I normally am in the booth that's behind me uh, with my friends from Family Tree Maker. And the last item right there didn't come through correctly. Let me fix that. That was my error. The company that has taken over the development of Family Tree Maker are in the Ukraine, and I did a blog post from their website, uh, and I'll give you a link to their website of their experience. My colleagues that normally would be somewhere around the booth are in are safe, but they are not in their homes, so they need our support. And they put a link on their website, and I put it on my blog uh, to know that we support them. I have electronically talked to several of the team, um, and I know that they are safe. So think about the developers of the Family Tree Maker program. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you standing by and leaving comments. I appreciate that. And if you have any questions, if I put a link to my blog, you could probably come there too and ask questions. I try to answer them. There's a place to ask questions. So there we go. There's a link to my blog. Okay. Thank you very much and have a great day.